There is a tool called Twinmotion. Twinmotion helps us visualize our ideas fast. And today we're going to explore it, learn it. Alright, so if you go to Epic Games Launcher, let's go to Twinmotion. If you already have Twinmotion, I have 2022.1.2. If you don't have it, click install. If you have it, click launch. And if you want to export this, I recommend downloading Datasmith. To download it, just go to Google, type Datasmith, then find Datasmith for SketchUp. Let me show you. Think about it as a bridge between all 3D tools and Unreal Engine. We go here to get the plugins, and you can find it for 3ds Max, for SketchUp, for Revit, for ArchiCAD, Rhino, and so on. Don't forget to close any tool you're using when you install plugin, then open that tool again. In our case, when we are using SketchUp, you will find the toolbar here. Alright, we can use live link and we can use the good old export to Datasmith file. For today's tutorial, I'm gonna just use the good old export to Datasmith file, which is this guy. So for this project, I'm gonna click export. I usually have a folder called dt_temp. It's called like dt Datasmith. So in this folder, I save my Datasmith files and I just empty it every now and then because it gets big, takes these precious gigabytes. So I have a folder with a creative name called my project. I click here and I have a folder, a file that I exported earlier at Datasmith. I'm just gonna click on it, click save. Imagine this file does not exist, you know what I mean? So in your case, you need to give your file a name and click save. And let's open Twinmotion. Hey, Twinmotion, welcome. The first thing we're going to notice is this 3D viewport. If you right click, you can look around and we can notice this big menu with many buttons on the left that we're going to explore today. So be patient. Alright, let's click Ctrl I or click on the first option here where we have import. And as you can see, we can import in multiple ways. We can import geometry. We can use the live link if you have multiple sources or sources for the live link. You can import height maps, landscapes, and you can import point cloud data. For today, I'm just gonna click geometry, and when you click open, here you're going to notice that we can use Datasmith, FBX, SketchUp, OPJ, Cinema 4D, and many other assets. For me personally, I found using FBX files or like Cinema 4D, FBX files, Datasmith files works fine. I tried using SketchUp. Sometimes my scene crash when I reload my project or do some changes to my SketchUp project. So we're gonna stick to Datasmith. I'm going to go to my project. Here you can see the file with the stupid name and you can see a file with a better name. Here's the rule, never do stupid names like this, okay? When you see stupid names, just click delete. Now, select our file, click open. When we click open, we get these extra options. We have collapse, we can keep the hierarchy, or we can collapse by material, or we can collapse everything. I'm just gonna keep the default option, keep hierarchy. We have this option, enable substitution. If we don't know what this is, we can go to Google, type enable substitution, Twinmotion, and then we can see what this will do. Material substitution, workflow. We are extending the Datasmith workflow in such a way that users will be able to define material replacement rules, aka substitution. Substitution rules will be executed each time Datasmith imports or re-imports data from design application. I don't know if you can hear Harun, but let me show you. He don't know how to say hello, but he know how to interrupt me. If I get interrupted, it's this guy. If anything, it's about automation. It's about saving you time, especially when you have big projects. So if you want to learn more about it, I'm going to leave a link to substitution in the description so you can click on it and learn more about it. I'm gonna keep this disabled and I'm going to click now on import. It will take few seconds to few minutes based on your project size and scale. Okay, controls. Right click as we said to look around, A, S, D, W, Q and E to move around. And if you see the camera is so slow, you can press 1 to make it even slower, 2 faster, 3, 4, which is super fast. And if you want another option to move the camera faster, usually this is what I always do when I am in my project. I just scroll up and scroll down to move like back and forth while I am moving. Click F when you have a mesh selected to zoom on that mesh. If you play video games, this will feel natural. you will notice here there are some arrows that when you click on them, they will open some menus. I really want to delete this car because if you click on it, you will see we have so many components. To do that, let's go back to SketchUp, click on the car, delete the car, export, select the same file I exported to earlier, which is this file. I will replace it and I will go back to Twinmotion and I will click here on Reimport. This is a faster way to delete that car, and I like to use Twinmotion cars. The second thing I'd like to do is actually deleting this landscape and replace it with the landscape that we're going to paint in Twinmotion. So select this, delete, select this, delete. As for these trees, to be able to select these trees better, we need to collapse our folder here. So you need to select the folder you want to collapse, click and go to collapse hierarchy. Alright, now when we open this, we will see all folders are collapsed. So deleting these trees is going to be painful as well. I'm going back to SketchUp here, right click, explode, and select all these trees and delete them, just like that. I think it's easier. So I'm going to click on export. I will select my file, overwrite it again, and come back here and click reimport. Hey, future Yahya here, the editor. To make your life easier, instead of going to SketchUp, deleting stuff and exporting again, what could be better is actually making groups and organizing your SketchUp files. So as I said in SketchUp earlier, I didn't do anything to the file, and that file was not organized in groups. And what I did is making in the outliner here, group called trees, and then I added a bunch of these trees here. And when we export this back to Twinmotion using Datasmith, we can see here that we have a group, a folder called trees, and when we hide this or unhide it, we have all the trees here instead of random collections of folders and whatnot. Folder structure is important. The way you organize and tag your files are important, and as well as collapsing your groups. So here you can see like we have different meshes. All these this is not ideal. What I would do is collapsing these as well, having this tree, like you are exporting this tree from SketchUp or any tool as one mesh, then you can easily later select this tree, and so let's select it here, do right click here, and we can replace objects. So if you have like thousands or hundreds of trees, you can imagine what type of nightmares you will go through. More on these things in future, on how can you prepare your SketchUp projects for Twinmotion and Unreal Engine. I just wanted to share this with you. Let's go back to the tutorial, and also subscribe. Thank you. Middle mouse button to pan the view. Let's select this landscape and delete it. Alright, I will also select the starting ground and also delete it, because why not? Now we have our house and a street. Let's start with adding a landscape. To add a landscape, we need to go to vegetation and landscape, and here we'll find landscapes. We have two types of landscapes. We have flat landscape and we have rocky grasslands. If you just click and drag, give it a few seconds. This is an auto landscape, meaning when you go to sculpt terrain and sculpt on it, it will change material based on the slope. We can select our Datasmith file and move it on the grid, so it's like sitting on the landscape. When we select a landscape, the menu here will change to landscape and we will get more options. So we get sculpt terrain or paint terrain. I'm gonna click on sculpt terrain, and here our brushes. So we can raise or push, we can increase the diameter, we can increase the intensity, and we can change the shape of the brush. So it's circle, smooth circle, blobs, stains. Let's keep it on circle for now, and let's just click. As you can see, I increased the intensity a lot. So I'm gonna press Ctrl Z and reduce the intensity, reduce the diameter as well, and I will sculpt here, for example. And this one, pull down. Of course, you can invert this. So if you have pull down activated and you press shift, it will pull up. And if you have the first brush raise selected, by default it will raise up, but if you press shift, it will pull down or subtract. Dig. We have smooth, we have noise. It will add noise to the landscape based on the diameter. So let's expand this and let's increase this so you can see what's happening. There is lots of noise here. Press Ctrl Z, and we have erode, and if we select erode, and then we have flatten, and I think this is so useful. So I'm gonna raise the landscape, reduce the diameter, and we can change values here by either click and drag, or you can type the value you want. So if you want 20 meters, for example, you can do that. And notice when I move around, I press my scroll, I just scroll up while I am pressing W so I can move faster. And I'm just gonna have fun in this area. It's up to you to spend as much time as you like. And to be honest, I almost never paint my landscapes manually like this. I use tools like Word Creator or Word Machine or Gaia. I use Word Creator to be honest, but the other options are just like options I'm telling you so you can Google it. So let's sculpt like this. Try to enjoy the process, try to have some fun, and click left and right. So we can click on smooth, and we can raise these areas. We can go to flatten. I'm just trying to raise the area around my house here. Let's click smooth. We go to noise, raise these areas, add some noise, and flatten this area around my house. You can always change the shape of the brush, so we can use blobs and have these nice blobs. It's like an alpha brush here. You can press shift, or you can just click to move it up, or shift to move it down. You can use stains. Get the idea. Okay, what I like to do next is to go to context, click on vegetation paint, and we can add a couple of trees here. So I can click and drag, and you can click on this brush here and you can paint. It's as easy as that. And notice when we clicked paint here, we're painting now one layer. You can click on one of these trees here and you can increase the density of that tree or decrease it. It's completely up to you. And if you want to paint more trees, or you can click easily add more tree types. What I recommend doing here is just experimenting, just have fun, add trees, see what tools we have, and so on. I usually like to go to vegetation paint, or click outside, and then you can have multiple actors of vegetation. So we can, for example, click on this tree. So let's go back to vegetation. Can click on the tree, have one type of tree, reduce the parameter, and then like paint here. So now we have two types of vegetations. Can click, you can increase the intensity, and so on. However, I'm going to select this layer and I'm gonna click delete so I can have like more frames per second. And let's talk about the options we have here. So we have materials, we have glass. Look how many types of glass we have. Have metal, have concrete, wood, brick, plastic, many assets to choose from. We have vegetation landscape. We have the landscape, we just talked about it. We have trees, we have bushes. You can also click and drag if you like. So no need to paint with the vegetation. The same for trees, of course. So if you want this tree exactly here, you can just click and drag. And each tree have many options as well. So we can change the age of the tree, whether make it small or old. It's 20 meters high. We can tint the color of the leaves, the seasons. This is something we're gonna talk about in a moment. Keep it on and off. We have grass. I don't think clicking and dragging one type of grass is a good idea. So what I'd like to do here, go to context and go to vegetation scatter, and I can click and drag multiple types of grass if I like, or just one type. Then click on this menu or one of these guys. You can click on the grass so we can activate the buckets here. Scatter add. If you click on it and click on one of these places, it will scatter the grass. So we need to click on the grass type and click multiple times if you like, or press Ctrl Z. Let's do this. Reduce slightly. As for the objects, we have assets for a living room. So they are divided based on the category. We have home. They are divided based on the rooms. If you have a living room, you're looking for a plant, you can select and add some plants. So let's add this here. You can add plants inside, outside, it's completely up to you. We need a car here, right? Go back home. If you can't find the car, just type in the search car. And we can add a sedan. Can change the color. Change the position. Just be careful with the frames. We have lights. We have omnidirectional light, which is a point light, a light that emits light everywhere. We have area lights, neon lights, IS profiles, and so on. So when I click and add a light, I press F to zoom in, and you can move the light. If you press Shift and move the light, you can make a copy or an instance of that light. So in this case, I'm gonna press Shift and move it, put it here, click on instance and press 2. So we have multiple lights. You can select all these lights again, or put one here. Have an instance. We can change the sky, and I wish I did that from the beginning. Can click on noon, cloudy. So there are so many sky boxes here. You can click and drag. First you need to download, and once download is finished, you can just click on the sky and it will load it and replace the sky we have. Amazing. If you don't want to see these actors, you can press on G. I think we should fix the terrain here, but I'm gonna leave that for you. We have rocks, we have fountains, we have primitives, we have decals, particles, water, and so on. I'm changing the sky to something else. Beautiful. You can increase the intensity or decrease it. You can rotate the sky, and we can use characters. So we have both humans, we have someone called Helen, we have nice animals. I think we have a guy called Felix, and Felix is a cat. Unlike Haroon, he does not meow. So cute. Okay, the second option here, we discussed quickly vegetation paint, vegetation scatter. We can have also urban, and urban here we will be able to select a location on the map. So if you want to bring in this area, we can click grab. I don't think it's a good idea for this project, but let's just do it anyway, then get rid of it. All right, there we go. We have buildings on top of our building. I'm gonna press 4 to go fast outside, and you can see with just one click we got this area here. Can select the buildings, can change their height, or we can just remove them and place our house here if we like. However, all is nice and all, but I'm going to select the context and delete this folder. Okay, so the other option, we have path, and we have 4 types of path. We have path for characters. So if you have a large project and you have people walking, you can press here and we can set points. And if we wait for it, or right click, it will populate our path with characters. We can select the path and move it, so we can put them on the sidewalk. And if we click on a path, you can change the type of people, the clothing, the weight, the density, or you can reverse the direction of that path. So you can have fun with these guys. You can make them walk or stand. It's up to you. Like they're standing, waiting in line to buy the new water stuff. Next to that, vehicle path, and is it me or it's not working? Ah, there we go, my bad. Need to click on this button, then we can place cars. Right click to stop or to cancel, then we can 2 lanes if you want. Not 5. So let's type 2, or we can type 1 and we can enable this one 2 lanes. Can decrease the intensity or increase it. So let's see what custom path will do. Click here. We can have boxes. Ha! Nice. So if you click on the custom path, I wonder if we can click on characters, animals, then bring Felix. And let's increase the speed of Felix. That's wild. Can we increase the density? Felix, you need to slow down, bro. Look at this guy. Delay, reverse, speed. The type of animation, we can loop it. But can we add more? Alright. The next menu is the settings menu. We can change our render settings. So if you want to increase the shadow quality on distance, we can increase that. You can disable or enable the GI, global illumination. You can see some parts here. And we can enable the path tracer. And the path tracer will just work. There are also more options here. So we can also change the lighting, the Skydome on and off. Can decrease or increase the exposure, the white balance, the intensity of the moon. There are settings for the location. So if your project is placed somewhere in the real world, you can search for that location and change it. Change the time, the date, the month. I think for the location to work, we may need to stop the Skydome. So if you go back to lighting, let's disable the Skydome and let's go back to location. And now we can choose a location. So if you want to search for New York, you can change the location and the sun will come accordingly from this place in the world. You can go to settings, can change the weather. So we have a slider here. We have two sliders actually. So the weather, if it's rainy, cold, if it's snowing. And we can change the season. We have auto material, then they will just work. I think we should delete Felix from here so he don't get cold. Just keep the sliding Felix, it makes sense. You can also control the growth of all the trees in the environment. You can make them big or small, or massively big, like a forest. You can also go to effects, and here we have wind speed, direction, smog, and particles. We can also change the camera settings. We can change the field of view. If you want to set your cameras or shots for like parallelism, so you can have like straight lines, you can turn it on and off. And in this here, media, this is where we set our presentations, cameras, panoramas, videos, phasing of the project, progress. And when you have all that, we can create a presentation. Right, so presentation needs images, videos, panoramas and all. When we create these, we can add them to the presentation. So if we click on image, we can go to a place we like and then click on create image and it will just create an image for us. We go to another place, so let's say this place, can create an image. We have now two images. You can go to media, panorama, go somewhere like here, click create pano, have a pano. And the same for videos. Video, let's say we like this place, we can create a video here, and then we can go to another shot, we can add on this button, and if we move this slider, the camera will go from point A to point B, and then if you like to add point C, you can also do that. So transition between all these points. Okay, now when we do have all that, we go to presentation, and when we can create a presentation, it says here, click here to add media. Finally, we can export our stuff. We can export images again, panoramas, videos, presentation. We can upload this to the cloud and so on. All right, so this was an introduction. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe and all that stuff. And I look forward to seeing you soon in another Twinmotion tutorial and another Unreal Engine tutorial. There will be also 3ds Max and Blender tutorials. With that said, I will see you guys soon. Cheers!